You were very prescient back in 2017 by saying that the US would face large-scale social unrest by the year 2020. Of course, it did occur. The US election in 2020 was a massive catalyst for that. But now we're entering a new cycle. And of course, the US massively stimulated the economy, almost like a wartime stimulus. And that all came off. And in fact, the fiscal drag is continuing into the midterm election, and potentially we will have a recession with quantitative tightening and Fed hikes by 2024. So what is your outlook for US social unrest, and does it matter? I mean, does it affect the markets?
I think it will definitely affect the markets. And I think it will begin affecting not just markets, but policy too, including monetary policy. So 18 months ahead of a US election, the Fed rarely hikes. Now, that's obviously based on 40 years of disinflationary environment. So we'll see how that influences the Fed right now. I mean, we're filming this early September. Jay Powell literally just announced that he will not be politicized. He won't care about politics. I don't believe him. And I don't believe him because Trump 2.0 will be meaningfully different from a Trump 1.0 presidency. Trump 1.0 was Goldman Sachs executives, very respectable military leaders. These were all, sorry?
Tax cuts.
Tax cuts, right. And the cabinet was just full of establishment, people that had real, gravitas to them. There's that saying, hell hath no fury like a woman who scorned. I would like to modify it and say, hell hath no fury like Trump scorned. Yeah. And I think that Trump 2.0 presidency will be a presidency of settling unresolved disputes. And here's why I'm saying that. I'm not saying that in a political way. I'm not saying it's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm simply saying that I think it's not controversial to say that if you're part of the governing elites, both Republican and Democratic, you do not want to see that happen. And so I do think that this election, more so than any election in US history, is absolutely going to matter. And trying to convince me that technocratic elites running the Fed are going to cause a recession ahead of this election, that's a bridge too far for me.
Thanks again, Marko, for joining us at the BCA conference.
Oh, it's a real pleasure. It's always great to see my friends from BCA.